Hey there, writer friends. It is time for yet another Write On Wednesday. And as always, I'm speaking to you when fresh out of a conversation or a writing session with the Sovereign Writers Circle, my online community for healers who write and writers who heal. Now, today is a little unusual in that we had a guest speaker come today. I either offer a workshop or have a colleague, a sister guide, walk through with us. And today we had Elizabeth DeRoche, who is a truly divine creatrix who speaks of creativity and our ability to connect to creative source in a way that's really revolutionary and so necessary. And she happens to be based in France. So speaking with a woman today who is a quarter of a way around the world, felt really powerful and resonant as a way to lift up and out of our current American emotional chaos bubble, because I am in this space right now holding both the connection, the collaboration, the sense of really sacred, divine, creative permission that comes with speaking in a small community about what it means to show up for your creativity, to show up as someone who is ready to channel through all that comes from the great unknown and turn it into something that was never there before. That might just be for you, that might be for the world. So that's one part of where I am right now. And the other part is kind of tired from having sat up and watched the debate with my husband and my almost 11-year-old daughter and just reeling from the chaos, from the cruelty, from just the how much politics has changed in my own lifetime. I was remembering watching the 1992 debates and telling my daughter about them when I myself was about 13 and how vastly different things feel. And of course, the more we learn, the more we can say, maybe some of this was always the same. And by that, what I mean is ideas of white supremacy, which were on bold and brutal display last night during the debate. And the sense that this is not necessarily new. It's just the very clear way in which the current president is willing to articulate racist, white supremacist ideas. So what I want to talk about today is this idea of taking a stand and being willing to dance with the wild unknown. Because I think both are absolutely necessary. We live in a both and universe, right? We need to be willing to say, I am going to unequivocally condemn any statement of white supremacy as an individual, and I'm going to demand it in any leader at the city, state, national level. And this is not a political conversation, except that these people are elected in our political game, because there's nothing political about this. It's just the truth that says we must condemn white supremacy and take a stand against all racist ideologies that have created our world, and this is just the way it is. We need to take a stand and challenge that. And we live in the wild and vast unknown. Constantly deciding that it's black or white. And in that, I understand that that's a difficult, in this case, I'm not necessarily speaking of race. I'm thinking about that just sense of binaries, of this or that. That kind of thinking gets us into trouble. It's what's perpetuating the red and blue state divide. The red and blue state houses where you have one sign in front of one house and one sign in front of the other, and you know those neighbors probably don't get together for barbecues. That kind of binary thinking is part of the problem. So I embrace this wild sense of the unknown, of saying I don't have all the answers. I don't know what's going on inside everybody's heads and inside all of the different paths of power in this world. But I'm willing to call out what I need to when I hear it. And I'm willing to say that my sense of this and that, both and also, does not extend to there were fine people on both sides after Charlottesville 3 years ago. Because that is patently untrue. And I'm going to take a stand for what I believe in and say it out loud so that I can invite you to try to do it too, in whatever way it is right for you at this moment, but with just enough courage that you're willing to put yourself out there to take a stand. And it might be a conversation with one person. It might be a Facebook Live that you're going to keep on the internet even if nobody's watching in that moment, and say, someone could come back and hear me say this. I condemn white supremacy. Our current president is a racist. And what he said last night, in which the Proud Boys, that white supremacist organization, should stand by, is utterly terrifying. And we should be a little bit scared. Because you know what? Fear is often something we want to disappear and dispel. And sometimes it's a little bit sacred because it motivates us to be brave, to have difficult conversations with individuals, to write what we truly believe, to put our thoughts out there. There still needs to be a willingness to know right or wrong, even when we live in a both and also universe. We still need to take a stand, even when we're also willing to dance in that wild unknown of anything could happen and I don't have all the answers. And it's not necessarily this guy or that guy and anybody's completely right, because they're not. But what we do know for sure is that what happened last night needs to be condemned, and that we need to find the bravery to speak up against it. And this is part of this vast, creative, beautiful world that we want to make. Both things are present. These wonderful, nurturing communities of fellow creatives. The people that I love to spend my time with, that I have worked so hard to create a world of, a business around. Writers and thinkers, healers who truly want to renew this world. And that work is done against the backdrop of last night's madness, cruelty, just sense of dumpster fire, off the rails insanity. Both are true. And it's true that you are here now, listening to me, listening to your own sense of this is what I know is true. What you know is true is that we need to be living in an equitable and equal world. And there is so much work to do. And if your work today is simply to stand up and say, I condemn white supremacy, and I'm willing to look inside myself and find where it is, dismantle it here, do the brave thing, and speak out. Because this world is full of unknowns, but one thing we know for sure is that we need to change it. The white supremacist state in which we live does need to crumble so something new can be born. The writer in me sees the writer in you. The courageous being in me, even when her voice shakes, is listening for the creative being in you. Together, we can start to change this bigger story. Take a stand and embrace the wild unknown that might happen on the other side. Blessings, my friends. Write on, write on. Tell your story. Write it to me if you need to start.